The Mystery of the Locked Room. Mr. Blackwood was a renowned scholar of ancient history and languages. He had amassed a vast collection of documents and manuscripts from various civilizations and cultures, some dating back to thousands of years ago. He was especially fascinated by the mysterious symbols that appeared in some of the texts, which he believed were clues to a hidden knowledge that could unlock the secrets of the past. He spent most of his time in his study, poring over the old papers and books, trying to decipher the symbols and their meanings. He rarely left his mansion, which was filled with curious objects and artifacts that he had acquired from his travels and contacts. He had a few trusted servants who attended to his needs, but he kept them at a distance and forbade them from entering his study. One day, he received a letter from an old friend and colleague, Professor Langdon, who claimed to have made a breakthrough in the study of the symbols. He invited Mr. Blackwood to visit him at his university and share his findings. Mr. Blackwood was intrigued and excited by the prospect of solving the mystery that had consumed him for years. He decided to accept the invitation and prepared to leave the next day. He packed a few essentials and some of his most valuable documents in a leather briefcase. He locked his study and hid the key in a secret compartment behind a portrait of his late wife. He then instructed his butler, James, to look after the mansion and not to let anyone in his study. He also warned him that there was a hidden alarm system that would alert him if anyone tried to tamper with the door or the portrait. He then left in a carriage, promising to return in a week. James watched him go with a mixture of curiosity and resentment. He had been working for Mr. Blackwood for over a decade, but he felt that he was treated more like a prisoner than a servant. He had no friends or family, and he was not allowed to leave the mansion without permission. He had always wondered what secrets Mr. Blackwood kept in his study, and why he was so obsessed with the symbols. He had tried to peek inside the study a few times, but he was always scared of being caught or triggering the alarm. He decided to use the opportunity of Mr. Blackwood's absence to explore the mansion and see if he could find anything interesting or valuable. He knew that there were many rooms and corridors that he had never seen before, and that some of them contained mysterious objects like old portraits, locked drawers, and secret compartments. He hoped to find something that would make his life more exciting or rewarding. He started with the ground floor, where the main hall, the dining room, the library, and the kitchen were located. He searched every corner and crevice, but he found nothing but dust and cobwebs. He then moved to the first floor, where the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and the guest rooms were located. He searched every closet and cabinet, but he found nothing but clothes and toiletries. He then moved to the second floor, where the attic, the storage room, and the study were located. He searched every box and trunk, but he found nothing but junk and trash. He was about to give up and return to his quarters, when he noticed something that he had never seen before. It was a small door at the end of a narrow hallway, hidden behind a curtain. It looked old and heavy, with a large metal lock and a carved wooden handle. It had no sign or label, and it seemed to be out of place in the otherwise modern and elegant mansion. He felt a surge of curiosity and excitement. He wondered what was behind the door, and why it was so well concealed. He pulled the curtain aside and tried to open the door, but it was locked. He looked around and saw a small keyhole on the lock. He wondered if he could find the key somewhere in the mansion, or if he could pick the lock somehow. He decided to try the latter option first, since he had some experience with locks and tools. He went to his quarters and fetched a small metal file and a pair of tweezers. He returned to the door and inserted the file into the keyhole. He twisted and turned it, trying to feel the pins and springs inside the lock. He then used the tweezers to pull the pins, hoping to align them with the shear line. He heard a faint click, and he felt the lock give way. He smiled and pulled the handle, opening the door. He was greeted by a blast of cold air and a musty smell. He stepped inside and saw a dark and dusty room, with no windows or lights. He fumbled for a switch or a lamp, but he found none. He took out a matchbox from his pocket and lit a match, holding it in front of him. He saw a small and bare room, with nothing but a wooden table and a chair in the center. On the table, there was a large book, bound in leather and covered with dust. On the cover, there was a single word, written in gold letters. Symbols.